What is going on, folks? This is Root. So I'm going to review Miley Cyrus's Can't Be Tamed album from the summer of 2010. This is her third album, and this is kind of one that starts to separate her from her Hannah Montana and Disney Channel kind of affiliation. Miley Cyrus was 17, almost 18 around this time as this project was starting to happen. And basically, it starts to show her in a more provocative sense, and kind of where she's more in like the dance clubs and places like that, and raves, and just more places where it's not just going to be for like school dances and teen poster child type stuff. And it's just kind of interesting because this is just kind of an interim project, because this was kind of the album before the album. I didn't really catch the train on this one. I found Miley Cyrus more when she was on her promotional cycle in 2013 for like bangers and stuff. But I do want to say that this is definitely a gem and has a ton of hits on here. That's just an overall good placement. It kind of makes me feel dumb for not messing with her sooner back in 2010. I think that's just kind of the concept, because this is full of boilers, and in a lot of ways some of these singles are basically as good as the ones on bangers like Wrecking Ball and We Can't Stop, and some of those. It's just kind of interesting. I mean, the promotional cycle for this album is relatively brief, but I still do kind of feel like it has some quality. It's just interesting how lively Miley Cyrus was around this time, just based on the construct, because I remember, I want to say I at least tried listening to like either her 2007 or 2008 album, and it was a lot more pop rock induced back then. But this is definitely like a nice taste of like some Euro pop, not quite Euro pop, but electro pop and kind of dance pop type music that just has like a nice tinge towards it. It just really feels good. So it's just interesting to kind of get that she was charting around this time. So some of this did actually have a pretty decent promotional cycle about it, but it's just kind of the fact that it was just so, I feel like this project kind of came and went. And that's just kind of the thing about it. It was just here for a little while, basically just like the summer and brief fall of 2010, and then it just kind of went along its way. Miley Cyrus did like movies and stuff like that, and then she went on to eventually put out bangers, which would basically be more of the one that got her permanently into the spotlight and kind of had her in her, continued pop tinge of mainstream and commercialness and that type of stuff. But so I'm going to talk about the singles on this project. So the first single was the title track, Can't Be Tamed, and this is like an immediate kind of dance club highlight. This has a real kind of crunchy, feels like a 2000s beat, but that's pretty good. This is a real kind of centered and just effectual kind of one. This is definitely one that I felt like made a lot of waves and deserved to. It has a great hook on here. Miley Cyrus really nails the hook. In a lot of ways, I like this song better than most singles. I like this song better than a lot of singles Miley Cyrus has dropped. This is definitely probably one of my favorites in terms of the songs that she's put out. Like, I do like Mother's Daughter, and I do like the song that came from Plastic Hearts. I forget the first single, like I forget what the first single off of Plastic Hearts off of her 2020 album. But I do kind of feel like this is a nice highlight, and it's just kind of Miley Cyrus more in the dance club field, and I just don't remember her doing this over abundantly. I feel like sometimes she kind of makes pop, but it seems like on bangers it was kind of more makeshift, kind of work a day, but on this project it's actually music to kind of get you to shake your ass and get up and moving and that type of stuff. So I definitely applaud Can't Be Tamed for that. Great addictive hook and just great overall production on there. That's just a nice, ass shaker and kind of one to kind of have in terms of like dancing. The second single is Who Owns My Heart, and this is kind of more in like a rave sense. This is kind of like a mid-rave type song, definitely more of like more dance oriented, where I felt like Can't Be Tamed is more of like a club sense, kind of in between a club and a dance club. But this one's definitely strictly for the dance clubs, I would have to say. This has a nice kind of about mid rave. I mean, it has enough of a nice pace on here. It's just a nice one. The chorus is pretty solid too. It's just kind of a sprawling kind of one that just kind of works for that. So Miley Cyrus really knocked both the singles out. I mean, the thing about Miley Cyrus is she always does manage to do like a lot of singles, but I've noticed on her albums, Plastic Hearts, the the 2019 EP she dropped, Bangers, and this album, Can't Be Tamed, she never really goes overboard with singles. I mean, she does singles really well, but she'll only do two, and most of the time at most like 3 singles. That's just kind of the concept. So this is about the promotional cycle of this project, is this Can't Be Tamed and Who Owns My Heart. But both of these are really excellent. They work in the dance club sense. They have an overall great feeling about them as far as that kind of goes. I feel like Who Owns My Heart is definitely the more one that would have more of a nightlife type feel, especially if you're just going to dance club places where you really want to get down. But Can't Be Tamed is just pretty much like a, could be even rap oriented song that kind of has like a club type sense. So those are just both of those. So I'm gonna recommend the 8.5 songs out of 12 that I recommend to you. So we'll go ahead and talk about these. So the 8.5 songs I recommend would be Liberty Walk, Who Owns My Heart, Can't Be Tamed, Every Rose Has Its Thorn, Two More Lonely People, Permanent December, Take Me Along, and Robot. And the almost song is Scars. So to talk about some of these, I feel like another song that has like a pretty, I mean, this one's kind of more mild of a dance club sense, but I feel like Liberty Walk just has like a nice, real kind of pop and commercial, just good, clean, fun kind of single for that sort of stuff. Not quite single, but just good, clean, fun in terms of like a dance club hit. I know Miley Cyrus was 17 around this time, so this one's kind of a dance club song, but not quite as much of one that I would see. Like, I can see Liberty Walk is like a nice dance club kind of song, but it just doesn't quite have the pace of Who Owns My Heart as much. But I do kind of see it as like a cleaner version of Who Owns My Heart, and songs like, I see it as like a cleaner version of songs like Two More Lonely People, Scars, and Robots. That's just kind of the concept about it, but it is a nice one. Definitely has a pretty flashy beat on there. It just really has like good kind of charming, exhilarating kind of energy towards it. And I feel like Every Rose Has Its Thorn and Take Me Along are kind of more slow dance kind of songs. These are both, like, I like the fact that Miley Cyrus kind of understood the concept of making dance music to the point where it's not just all up tempo kind of ones. These are kind of ones, like, I definitely feel like Every Rose Has Its Thorn and Take Me Along are kind of like the slow dance ones that just kind of have a lot more kind of looking in your eyes kind of energy, and just kind of gazing and kind of like this more longing in that sort of sense in terms of the concept of what goes along with it. They're not quite as fast paced as like Can't Be Tamed, Who Owns My Heart, and like Robot and some of those. But I do feel like it's just kind of nice ones just to kind of have, just because these are dance songs. These are not down tempo like ballad type songs. They're just kind of down tempo dance songs, which is interesting to kind of get those. So Two More Lonely People and Take Me Along both do that pretty well. Or not Two More Lonely People, but Every Rose Has Its Thorn and Take Me Along both do that. Two More Lonely People has a nice mid-tempo kind of beat. Actually, this one's kind of high tempo. This is about as quick as Who Owns My Heart, the song. This is kind of a nice one just for kind of shaking your ass in the dance club and that sort of thing. This has a nice kind of pretty paced vibe about it. Just really feels like something that could almost be in a rave sense. It's just interesting kind of get Miley Cyrus more in the rave sense. I definitely feel like Who Owns My Heart, Two More Lonely People, and Robot are all kind of the rave songs. So to talk about Robot, this is kind of a mid-tempo one. Robot actually kind of strikes me as like a mid-dance club type song. I don't know if so much of Robot's like a rave type song, but it could be in like a mild sense. It's a mild rave kind of mid-dance club type song. Has a pretty decent pace about it. It's definitely one that it's not quite a single. It doesn't have the mammoth energy of Can't Be Tamed or Who Owns My Heart, but it is a decent bop to kind of dance along to and that sort of thing. So I like that one. Scars, the almost song, I kind of didn't like the production on this song. I mean, it kind of changes up a bit, and it just was not quite as fluid and fluent as like I would have liked it to have been. But I do like it enough to say it's another quality dance song to be able to say that. So that one's kind of one I'm on the fence about. I can see myself liking it later to make it 9 songs out of 12 that I enjoyed. And then Permanent December, this reminded me of a song that like Nicki Minaj would do. This is definitely kind of a promo type song. This is something that I felt like could have been slapped on Nicki Minaj's Pink Friday album, especially in the verses. Just kind of comes off as like the same kind of bedrock and those type songs type feel. This is something for like a more hop and bop kind of woozy kind of mall hopping, going to like a shopping mall type stuff, and just kind of shop till you drop kind of attitude, and like a more promo type sense, flashiness, dressed to impress kind of fashionable kind of afternoon or evening or something. So those are just some nice ones. Yeah, I think that about takes care of it. So just to kind of go over these a little bit more, I feel like definitely the quickest pace songs on here would be Can't Be Tamed, Who Owns My Heart, Two More Lonely People, and Robot. I feel like those are the ones that have the most immediate kind of dance club type vibes. But then Liberty Walk is a nice one, even though it feels a little bit younger. I still feel like this one's a pretty nice one just to kind of have like a nice quality, innocent kind of energy about it. And I would have to say, like, Every Rose Has Its Thorn and Take Me Along are kind of like the slow dance type songs with a little bit more romanticism in there. And then, like, it's interesting kind of get Permanent December is kind of like a kind of shopping mall and kind of more promo kind of song and that type stuff. So, and then Scars is another pretty much high mid tempo kind of dance song. So, but talk about some of these ones I didn't enjoy. Like there were only really 3 songs I didn't wholesomely enjoy, and those were just basically the two down tempo but not dance club down tempo songs, which is just Forgiveness and Love and Stay, which are both kind of more ballad esque, and I just didn't really vibe with that kind of concept. I mean, I know that they're necessary and they speak to some people, but I didn't see the concept of me listening to them. And then My Heart Beats for Love is kind of a blue collar song, but I just didn't really like I don't know, it kind of felt more of like a power ballad. And it's interesting to kind of have Miley Cyrus do like an 80s kind of power ballad type thing. It's there. I mean, it's definitely like a power pop kind of power ballad in there, but I didn't have terribly a ton of enjoyment for it. So I think it's okay, but I'm not going to give it an almost song because I don't know how frequent I would listen to it. But so to talk about the score of this project, me liking 8.5 out of 12. I'm going to go ahead and give this album an 8.75 out of 10. If I would have liked Scars a little bit better, it probably would have gotten like a 9 or a 9.25 out of 10. But just with me being on the fence about Scars, I just would have to say an 8.75. 8.75 is pretty rock solid. That's pretty damn good. I think that's definitely an excellent kind of score to be able to say that I enjoyed and kind of reveled in how much I had appreciation for this project. So there's just a lot of good stuff. I really like the singles. I really felt like Miley Cyrus on her singles. She continues to always have good singles and be able to pump those out and do it. But this promotion of this project is just really brief. You know, it just kind of is pretty short lived. I mean, I think I look at it's not short lived, like there's not quality stuff on here, but just in terms of like the stuff that people are going to know about and have heard on the radio and kind of talk about, it's just kind of more, it puts the boundaries on you to kind of figure out what moments are the best to kind of gab about and socialize about. So it's just not quite as much of like a public kind of affair this time as much as it probably should have been. But that's just kind of more here and there kind of complaints about it. But the music is definitely quality. So 8.75. The social score, like I said, I'll probably give the social score a 7 out of 10 because there is quite a bit on here. I would have to say that there's like more than 8 or 9 songs out of 12 that, or well, at least 8 or 9 songs out of 12 that have like a nice social kind of outgoing dance club affair type towards it. But it's just kind of more with there only being 2 singles and really only one of which really cracked like the top 10 of like the Billboard 100. I just would have to say it's just kind of more of like a word of mouth kind of affair about it more so than actual, or it's more of like, I would have to say it's just more of like you have to do the research yourself kind of thing more so than just a word of mouth, like everyone kind of heard about these, that type stuff. It just is kind of that you just have to research kind of more about it. That's just kind of the thing. So, but there is quality stuff. There is definitely, when you find it and you take the time to sift through it and that type of stuff, you'll definitely find some hits. But it's just kind of, I don't know the degree as to the quality of what if folks want to do that sort of thing, but I definitely do, and I recommend it if you don't. So that's this kind of thing. Don't just go for Can't Be Tamed and think this album's a one-hit wonder, because Who Owns My Heart is a brilliant second single, and there's plenty of other hits on here. So that's kind of the thing. But so 7 social. In terms of the future, Miley Cyrus just dropped an album back in March of 2023, and I think it was called like Flowers. I don't remember. It's Endless Summer Vacation. That's what it's called. So eventually I'll get to that and that type of stuff. I'm going to review a few more Miley Cyrus projects like Bangers and that type of stuff, and we'll see what happens there.